Hello again. I'm Judy Covington, co-founder of TMCI, and I'm here to talk a little bit more about Abraham. And we've seen how God called Abraham from a very advanced civilization and sent him out to live the life of a nomad in the desert. But God has made Abram a number of promises. He said, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to make of you a great nation. Your name will be great. And everyone who blesses you will be blessed. God has made a covenant with Abram, and he's made these promises. He's told Abram it's going to be a while now before this happens, because the people got to go down to Egypt and stay for 400 years. And they did. In fact, they stayed for 430 years. But now we come back to Abraham, and here we are. Now, in chapter 16 begins by telling us that Abram and Sarah had no children. So Sarah suggests, and in Abraham's defense, we will say that God had not said that Sarah was going to be the mother of his child. God had said to Abram, from your body will come forth this child. So Sarah decided that they were going to help God out. So she gave Abram her maidservant, Hagar. And Abram and Hagar produced a child. And there was a good bit of conflict over this when Hagar knew she was pregnant. She began to look down on Sarah and to feel superior. So Sarah ran her out, but God sent her back and told her that because the child that she was carrying was Abraham's child, that he was also going to be the father of a great nation. So she went back, and they, remember now, Abram was 75 years old when he left, when he came into the land of Canaan. Now he has a child who's about 13 years old. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared and said, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. I will confirm my covenant between me and you, and will greatly increase your numbers. Interesting thing about the scriptures, so many times when we get a promise from God in the scriptures, the promise of a child comes to a woman who's not able to have children. And that was the case with Abram and Sarah. But God says, I'm going to confirm my covenant. And God says to Abram, this is my covenant with you. Now, before he had promised to give him the land and to give the land to his descendants, and that he would be a blessing and everybody would be blessed through him. So now God says, you will be the father of many nations. And he changes his name. Abram's name was Abram, but God changed his name to Abraham. You see, he added that breath. And so I believe that the breath of God is given there and is enabling Abram to become Abraham, a father of many nations. And he says to Abram, I will make you fruitful, make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant and everlasting covenant between you and your descendants after you. The whole land of Canaan, where you are now an alien, I will give as an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you. So then God says, well, Abram, I made these promises, and so far this covenant is pretty one-sided, which it would be because we've got God on one side with all power, all knowledge, everything. And Abram on the other side, a 99-year-old man with a child that he had with his maidservant, no child with his wife. So God says to Abraham, now he's changed his name. You must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you. And this is my covenant. This is a sign of the covenant. You shall be circumcised. Everybody, all the males in your family must be circumcised when they're 8 days old. So what God is saying to Abram, I made these promises. I'm going to keep these promises. And for you, there's going to be a mark in your body at the place where life will issue that will bring new life. And this is going to be the mark of the covenant from now on. And God says to Abram also, As for Sarai, your wife, you will no longer call her Sarai, but now her name shall be Sarah. Again, we have that breath sound. I will give you a child through her, and I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Abraham laughed. I think, I can really understand Abraham's laugh at this point, because I'm not 100 years old yet, but my goodness, even at my age, I can imagine. Can you imagine Abraham going to the prayer meeting and telling people, well, God's made me a promise. I'm going to have a child with Sarah. I mean, that would be, they would have a lot of laughter, which might not be holy laughter. So we're going to leave him there for now. Come back in a few minutes and talk a little bit more about Isaac. And we got a long way and a wonderful way and a very exciting way ahead as we look at how the Bible is tied together, and it's all one story. So we're going to come back and talk about Abraham a little bit more today, Abraham. And then the next time we do a series of videos, we'll get to Isaac, I promise. God bless.
Hello, we're so glad you could join us today on TMCI TV. We hope you were blessed and encouraged. Help us bless and encourage others by sharing, liking, and subscribing. And if you want to know when we post new events, turn on your notifications. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. God bless you. And we look forward to seeing you each Tuesday and Friday on TMCI TV.